want to discuss one of the most critical components of the video array ROV submersible, which is what we call the cartridge seal. The cartridge seal serves two major functions on the vehicle. Number one, it keeps water out of the pressure holes. Number two, it lubricates the motor shafts that come out to spin the propellers when the motor is engaged from the hand controller. There are three of these located on the submersible, two on the horizontal thrusters and one on the vertical thruster. Now this cartridge seal is the same throughout all of our models, the Pro 4, the old Pro 3 GTOs and Pro 3s, the Explorer and the Scout models. So they all work on the same sub. Why is the cartridge seal important? Why do we need to pay attention to it? And what happens when this thing runs dry? Well, we're going to cover that. So basically what we have here is an oil-filled cartridge, and that is going to go over the motor shaft. We're going to take the props off and show you how to do this. Sticks in the back, it snaps in with some O-rings, and basically lubricates your shaft every time it spins, the horizontals and the verticals, when they're engaged by the hand controller. So over time, this food-grade oil in this cartridge is going to dissipate as it lubricates the shafts. So it's very important to keep your eye on it, because when this thing runs dry, there's nothing between the water and the pressure hole. There's nothing stopping the water from getting in, since there is a little hole inside of this that the oil is coming through. So we designed it very simply to be visually inspectable. What does that mean? When you have a brand new seal and you'll take a look at them when it's delivered to you, you'll either see nothing, or you'll see a very, very tiny bubble, air bubble that's at the top of them. New seals either will have either very small bubble, or they're so full, like this one here. Not sure how well you can see it, but you won't see any bubble. We'll show a visual cut into this video to give you a better idea. So over time, as the oil is being used to lubricate the shaft, that bubble is going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. It's very easy to see, and as time goes on, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Now, when that bubble gets to be about the oil's 3/4 of the way used up inside this seal, it's probably a good idea to change it. So what happens when it runs dry? If you don't pay attention, it runs dry, you risk water coming in through the seal, up the shaft, and into the pressure hole. So it's very important to keep an eye on these things. Now, how long do they last is a question that we usually get. There's no real straight answer to that. It depends on a number of things. How hard you're engaging the motors, like how much power you're giving the motors at any given time. Is there constant downforce, constant down thrust being used, or constant up thrust being used, say if you're inspecting a ship hull. So it varies. The harder you drive them, obviously the more oil and the quicker they're going to wear. So there's no set number of hours they last. Some people will tell you 100 hours. I've seen them last much less than that, and I've seen them last much more than that, so it just depends. Also depends on what kind of contamination's in the water. If there's a lot of fine particulates that could somehow get inside of here, they could go bad and run dry quicker as well. So very important to keep your eye on these, that bubble on there. It's very easy to see. So check your seals out right when you get them. You should see a very tiny kind of pinhole bubble, or sometimes nothing at all because they're so full. But as you start using them, you'll see those bubbles start to form. So you will have one spare cartridge seal in your toolkit that's delivered with you, delivered with your vehicle. You can also buy these as singles or in packs of 3 on the Video Array website, and we'll ship those right to you. But it's always a good idea to have a couple of backups of these in case you need them. So there's nothing more critical than keeping water outside of your sub. If you get water inside, bad things happen. You can imagine. Water and electronics don't necessarily mix. So I'm going to show you how to change one of these right now. You'll need an extra seal, obviously, and you'll need the 7/16 nut driver that comes in your basic toolkit that's delivered with your vehicle. Now we're going to we'll do one of these so I can show you how to change it. Do one of the horizontals, and I'll do the vertical since it's a little bit different. So First thing you want is a nice flat work area, preferably non-slip, so your vehicle won't slide off the floor. Usually have a paper towel or something around these. These seals are shipped with a gel inside of the hole here, and that's so the oil won't leak out during shipping. If you happen to get a seal and you open it, a brand new one from the factory, and there's no gel in it, which shouldn't happen, but if it somehow does and there's no oil in it, let us know. We'll ship you another one. It doesn't happen very often. Sometimes temperature can affect that gel, but not very common. Anyways, you're going to notice a black line inside your cartridge seal on the brass that's in there. Let's see if I can get close enough so you can see that. So it's just a black Sharpie marker, and that's going to indicate that that part needs to point down towards the ground, towards the bottom, because that's where the hole is. There's a pinhole in there that the oil comes through to lubricate the shaft. So if it's up, if it's pointed up, it's not going to be as effective. So gravity is basically pulling the oil down onto the shaft while it's spinning and lubricating it. So get your seal ready and your 7/16 nut driver. And this is a fairly simple process. You just want to get your finger in there. Now these props can be sharp. Let me zoom out a little bit here. These props tend to be sharp, so if you want to, grab a microfiber towel or something like that to jam in there, you can. Basically, we're just going to hold that prop from spinning and just twist until the nut comes out. It shouldn't be very hard. So your acorn nut's going to come out, and now basically you just want to pull off the propeller. Now there's three pieces to the prop. There's a collet that's going to grab the inside or grab the shaft when it's screwed down tight, the prop itself, and the acorn nut that holds it on. So there's only one way the collet can go in there until it's flush, and that's the side that slides onto the motor shaft when you're ready for that step. Okay, so now that we have the prop off, you can see our seal here. Okay, and this basically just a little twist and it pops out. It breaks the seal of that O-ring when you pull it straight off the shaft. Okay, and then I'm not going to do it here, but you insert the new one because a bunch of messy gel is going to slide out the bottom, so you want to make sure you have a paper towel on hand. Alright, so find that black line, Sharpie line, and we're going to make sure that that's pointing down. Okay, and you're just going to slide it in until you feel it set in there nice and snug. You hear like a little snap. That's just the O-ring setting in where it should be. Then we're going to reinstall the prop. Okay, so make sure your collet is inside the propeller. That's going to slide on. Acorn nut back on top. Okay, at this point you probably have to use two hands to make sure the prop doesn't turn. Make it finger tight, and then you just want to nip the bolt. We don't want to, crank it down super hard. We just want to make it nice and snug. You don't want to completely over crank it there. So make it nice and snug. And you just repeat for the other propeller, the horizontal one. Now I'd suggest that you don't do both at the same time, unless you know what you're doing. You've done it a bunch of times, because these props are not the same. There's a left-hand pitch and a right-hand pitch. You can see they're different here. But if you do, just remember what side they came from, and make sure you put the right prop back on the right side, or else it will turn completely wrong when you go to pilot it. So that's the horizontal thruster cartridge seal change. I'm going to show you the vertical. It's a little different, and there's a few more pieces here. So again, we're just going to use our 7/16 nut driver. Just get it on top, and just going to hold that prop till the nut cracks on it. Same deal as the back one, just a simple acorn nut. 3 pieces again, though this prop is much smaller. Alright, now we have one more piece to get through till we get to the cartridge seal on the vertical. It's what we call a vertical splitter. It's a piece of molded plastic that what happens is that when the vertical propeller is spinning, it channels the water away from these grooves between the thruster tubes and the main hull, so it makes it much more efficient in surfacing and diving. And that simply just pulls right off the top. So now we have access to our vertical cartridge seal. Same deal, just give it a little twist until it breaks that O-ring breaks that seal. Make sure you don't have greasy hands. Okay. Alright, so same deal, slide off. Now this one, it doesn't matter where that black line is, since there's gravity isn't playing a role up here with the oil coming out of the cartridge seal. It's a good idea to check and make sure that there isn't any debris at the bottom here. Just take a microfiber towel or a paper towel or something and wipe that out. Salt water tends to get inside here if it's not rinsed very well when you're done with it, and can crust up. So just make sure that there's nothing inside there. And make sure your shafts feel good. That they're not nicked or there's any abrasions on them. That can also cause a cartridge seal to wear faster. If they get bent, sometimes they can get grooves in them. So pay attention to that kind of stuff. And again, reinstalling is as simple as just popping that down until you hear that little click. Make sure that the O-ring is seated in the bottom there as well. And then we're just going to repeat how we took it apart. Put the vertical splitter back on. Okay. If this doesn't go back on, you're going to notice it when you're trying to dive or surface. It's not going to be as efficient or happen as smooth as it should. Okay, we're going to get our prop. Remember, there's 2 pieces there. There's the collet and the prop itself. It fits inside there, so it's flush on the bottom. We're going to slide that on until it can't go anymore. And then grab a hold of the prop with a couple fingers, make the acorn nut finger tight on there, and then again we're going to take our 7/16 wrench and hold it and just nip it. Do not over crank, again like we did with the back ones. And then reinstall your float. Finger screw there. And that's the cartridge seal change. As you can see, it only took a couple of minutes. It's a really slick feature on the video ray. It's something we're very proud of. A lot of other ROVs have, grease galleys that you have to refill. It's very labor intensive. It takes a lot of bench time. But you do this a couple of times, and you'll have it down to a minute or 2 for all 3 cartridge seals. So remember, stock up on cartridge seals. Keep a bunch of them in your toolkit. And always keep your eye on them, looking for that bubble in the cartridge seal. Remember, when it gets about a quarter of the oil is left or 3/4 of the way empty, change your seal. Don't be a hero and try to keep it going or run it till the last minute, because you never know when that thing's going to run out. You can't see it obviously if it's underwater, so do it always in your pre-dive check and look at it again in your post-dive check. And just take good care of your seals, and your video ray will last a long time. So that's cartridge seals.